the presidency, assuming the position of Chief Magistrate of these United States of America. Well, I must tell you, I knew it was coming. I was elected unanimously by the members of Congress. Word was sent to me by Mr. Thompson, the Secretary of the Congress. He came down to visit me at Mount Vernon, but I had heard about it already. I must tell you in all honesty that as I received word, my stomach started churning, and I was gripped with anxiety and fear. Now, certainly you can understand that. Anyone who thinks and feels would be a bit concerned when heading into ground that has never been walked on before. I wrote to a friend of mine that as I moved towards the executive seat of government, I felt not unlike a condemned man being led to his own execution. And I'm sure you can understand that as well. Every step that I took was on a path that was untrodden. I knew that the entire world would be looking at my actions, and I knew that these actions themselves would set great precedents for future generations. For example, some of the precedents that I have been told have been set were not ones that I gave much thought to, but yet they stuck. And this is one of the reasons I was so afraid. Simple actions. For example, I held public levees every Thursday to gentlemen who would want to speak to the president. The Constitution called for the title of the executive to be the president, but there was no honorific. An honorific is, what should you call them? No one had decided. Congress was debating this. Congress was made up more than half of lawyers, and they're always debating something. And they had not come up with anything. Here I am holding these public levees. The gentlemen don't know what to call me. My aide, Colonel Humphreys, suggests something that is long-winded and very verbose, and it really upset me. He said to me, "General, what do you want me to call you?" I thought for just a few moments, and I said, "Just refer to me as Mr. President." Apparently, that is a precedent that has stayed to your very day. A simple statement such as that sets a precedent, and that is why I was so concerned. There was so much work to be done in this new nation. We were not unlike a newborn baby. We had to crawl before we could stand, and we had to stand before we could walk. And the thought of even running, well, that was off in the future. One of the greatest issues that we had to deal with was our debt, because a country that is in serious debt, and we were, as a result of our war of revolution, we were in serious debt to Americans who had provided funds and services to the war effort, but also to foreign governments. And I felt that we could not take our place on the world stage until we came up with some manner to deal with this debt. So that was a major situation right from the start. Also, right from the start, we were pulled into the affairs of Europe, always at war, one with the other. Case in point, England and France were still at war, and we had been given great help during our War of Revolution against England by the French. But at this point, now that we were a sovereign nation, I had to be mindful not to be pulled in one direction or the other. I believe that a nation has a responsibility to, well, not be fine and fair friends with another nation and not be enemies with another nation exclusively. Neutrality was the best tack to take. That was not an easy thing to convince the members of Congress, some of who were pro-British, some of who were pro-French. There were many, many great challenges that faced this new nation. And as its chief executive, well, I felt that many of them fell on my shoulders, and that much of the success of our grand experiment also fell on my shoulders.